Hello everybody, this is Mithril Zenith. Welcome back to another Fire Emblem map recap, Archanea. Today we are looking at Archanea Palace, and finally it is a map with no houses or villages, so I don't have to discuss the differences between those. Thank goodness. There are some things that we need to discuss in terms of differences, but luckily there are very few. First of all, difference-wise, we have treasure chests, we have, here the enemy layout, basically the same, though Fire Emblem 3 gives us 2 more thieves, and I believe, yeah, those are the same. These are replaced by bishops, but they still just have healing items. These cavalry are replaced by soldiers because it's an indoor map. And then we're back to no thieves. There is a general there, but... is that a general? Yes, that was always a general, so nothing to worry about there. Other than that, there is one other difference, and that is the treasure chest here. In Fire Emblem 1, these treasure chests, all 4 of these are the same, but this one on the right, this 5th one, is different. We have, in order, I believe, if I'm looking at this right, Fire Emblem 1 would be an Orion's Bolt, 20,000 gold, weapon manual, silver sword, and a master key, or a lockpick, basically. Master key, lockpick, same thing. In Fire Emblem 3, it is Orion's Bolt, 10,000 gold, weapon manual, silver sword, goddess icon. And in Fire Emblem 11, it is Master Seal, Bullion L, Arm Scroll, Silver Sword, Dragon Pike. So this one's different in every game. This one is a Master Seal in Fire Emblem 11 because Master Seals instead of class-specific items. This one is a different amount of gold in every game, but basically relatively the same. And then this sniper in Fire Emblem 11 drops his silver bow. He also does in FE1, but he does not drop it in FE3, he just has it. And then there are reinforcements in Fire Emblem 11. You get 4 rounds of 2 Cavaliers and a Horseman on turns 3, 5, 7, and 9. These reinforcements do not exist in Fire Emblem 3 or Fire Emblem 1. So, with that out of the way, oh yeah, then this armory down here doesn't exist in FE3, I believe. Yeah, it does not exist in FE3, but in both Fire Emblem 1 and Fire Emblem 11, it is effectively every buyable sword is available. In FE1, you can get Iron Sword, Steel Sword, Armor Slayer, Rapier, Killing Edge, Levin Sword, and Silver Sword, so every buyable sword. In FE11, it's just Iron, Steel, Silver, Killing Edge, Armor Slayer. No Rapiers, no Levin Swords. I think that's all the major version differences, though, so let's just talk about the map. Okay, yes, there is one more difference, and that is Fire Emblem 3 starts you in this outside courtyard area, for some reason, while also having more thieves that push you to go forward faster, whilst also forcing you to dismount because it's indoors, so you can't catch up to the thieves as reliably. Not sure why they were thinking about that. I'll talk about that later. But yeah, that, I believe, should be the final major version difference. Other than that, 1 and 11, your starting position is here, inside the castle. It does leave this awkward little bit kind of empty in FE1. FE11, this is basically just a buffer zone, so the reinforcements who come in have to take longer to get to you, which is understandable. So let's talk about the map flow. I just released a video on map flow, map design 101 map flow. That video did very well. Thank you so much to everyone who decided to join for that. I really do appreciate it. Yeah, map flow. Who knew? People liked it so much. But let's talk about the map flow here. We have arguably a 2-group flow, kind of, with a... So we have the thieves on the right here, which are just behind your army. They're kind of annoying to deal with right away, but, you know, not too bad. Ultimately, you could just move and let them move past you and then attack them, but I think these thieves might actually attack. At the very least, if you block their entrance, they attack. I'm pretty sure. Like, if they can't get to any of the treasure chests, then they might attack. You have some Armor Knights. Armor Knights blocking these areas. I think they're defensive AI. They only come out when you are in their attack range. Otherwise, they just stay there. You have these archers and this mage who attack your new reinforcements. So these reinforcements are 2 Armor Knights, Dolph and Makalon. You have Midia the Paladin, Boa the Bishop, and Tomas the Archer. Now, this squad is the same in every version of the game. They add a little bit of wall. That's funny. They added a wall here in FE3 to prevent you from keeping as many units safe. That's rude. But yeah, basically the same crew in every game, though I will say their usefulness does vary more depending on the different games. Fire Emblem 1, they are actually very solid. Not necessarily Dolph and Makalon, but Tomas can be pretty good archer if you just promote him directly. Boa, very good pre-promoted bishop. And Midia, basically a second Jagan. But we're not here to talk about the map, the units, we're here to talk about the map, so don't let me get too off topic discussing them. Yes, you deal with the thieves, you come through, you fight these Armor Knights, you go through, you fight the armor, you fight the archers and the mage here, and you rescue these units. You need to move them around such that the armors are on the right, and either Boa or Midia are on the left in order to distract the ranged units, because they can shoot through the wall into the cell. Basically match them up so that way they can survive a couple more turns longer. In theory, in practice, well, let's just say the only 2 guaranteed units that are safe are in this little nook back here, which is important, particularly for Shadow Dragon Hard 5, where basically none of these units can survive any amount of attacks from any of these enemies. So yeah, pick the 2 you want to survive. Normally it's just Midia and Boa, and then the rest will unfortunately have to die, because that's just the nature of Hard 5. Aside from that, yeah, you have this time pressure side objective that you want to send high mobility units into, but again, Fire Emblem 3 rears its head where you say, hey, you're dismounted, so you can't actually ride faster here. So another possible use of the warp staff, if you really want to rescue these units right away, you can warp through and, you know, warp and attack them. Though I will say you still have these 2 safe areas. They actually expanded the jail, made it one tile deeper, and then I guess that's why they added the wall, because otherwise you could save all the units but 1, keep them from getting attacked. So, it's fine. Not too upset by that change now that I look at it, because it's just making it the same number of units being able to be safe. So you rescue these units, then you come down here. Normally you'll just go through the treasure room, deal with the treasure, and then fight the sniper and this general, which are quite annoying. The sniper will shoot you through the door, the general will block you off from getting to this treasure chest, which, funnily enough, in most versions, actually, maybe in all versions of the game, this treasure chest is actually the least important treasure chest on the entire map, because it's a dragon pike in FE11, which is maybe the best version of it, a goddess icon in FE3, which is nice, but, you know, it's plus luck, it's arguably the weakest stat booster, and then it is a, what did I say it was? A master key? Yeah, if you're using your thieves that much, or somehow you just chucked it, then here, have another master key, but you're pretty much never going to need it, unless you're opening every single door you possibly can with one, and dropped the other one off a cliff or something, or left it in Rickard's inventory and killed him. So you have that there. You have a fire dragon down here in all 3 versions of the game, which is kind of a decent boss fight, I suppose. Particularly in FE3, where Manakets are quite dangerous. But it's like you fight him, then you go into here and you fight some mages, then you fight the boss, and then you come over here past the boss, open a door, and fight, I guess, some soldiers in that version, but it's like a mini-boss paladin and his 2 cavaliers, and you fight them, one, because he drops a Knight's Crest or Master Seal in FE11, but 2, because you want to get the boots chest. These are boots, these are the only boots in the game, and in FE1 in particular, they boost movement by 4 points. They basically are considered Marth's property, at least in FE1. In FE3, you can make some other decisions with it, in Fire Emblem 11 as well. You can make some other choices with that. But yeah, boots, only boots in the game. Aside from, I think that actually maybe there are some... no, there are boots. There are other boots in the game, I misspoke. You can buy boots in the very last secret shop right before the final chapter of the game. So these are effectively the only boots in the game, though the final chapter is still a big, meaningful chapter, and we will talk about that when we get there. So, this map feels weird. And it feels weird because it is so empty. This map creates time pressure mostly by threatening your reinforcements and mostly frustrating you by the fact that it takes like 4 to 5 turns of movement just to get to them. It's not like there's a large number of enemies in your way that you can plan your attack through and plan out who's attacking where and then get a dance off and then like make it in 2 turns, which will somehow like protect all of your reinforcements. No, you don't have a dancer. You have warp, so you could just warp past and bypass the threat altogether, but I think that's kind of a boring way to go about doing it. Every time I talk about Archanea maps, I feel like I have to mention warp, and I feel like I don't want to mention warp because warp is just, in many ways, the blanket solution to any problem you have with a map, but I think it's lazy and frustrating design to just say, oh, just warp skip it, it'll be fine. Yeah, no. I don't really like the way this is designed or handled, and its flaws especially come out in Fire Emblem 11 Hard 5, where, yeah, 3 of these units are just dead. Like, you cannot save them unless, as I said, you warp, maybe even double warp, and even then you're still losing probably at least one of them. It's just sad, it's just frustrating, and it's just kind of lazy, to be honest. It feels lazy, where it's like, I get what they're going for, but I really wish that there was more meaningful pressure, or more meaningful ways to add to the pressure, to add to the drama of it, other than just, oh, it's just gonna take a couple turns to get there. And Fire Emblem 3, what are we doing? I know it makes more narrative sense to start in the entryway of the castle, but first of all, adding extra thieves, putting you further behind, and you're dismounted so you have longer minimum time to get to your objective. It's just salt in the wound, really, is what it is. It's just, oh yeah, you really didn't actually want to use these units anyway, did you? So frustrating. Aside from that, yeah, like I said, the map is just very empty. Fire Emblem 11, the reinforcements help. By like lighting a fire behind you, but even then, what happens is if you're in like Hard 5, is that you go forward, you dash through, maybe you kill these to save these units, but you probably don't. You just hold up the 2 you want alive, and then the rest of your army you just throw into the treasure room, and then you just hold out against the flood of reinforcements in this treasure room. So that's, you know, the reinforcements dealt with. This general doesn't move, doesn't care about, maybe he does move, but it's like he's a melee range general. He doesn't really do much to you. The sniper won't attack you if you're not against the wall. Yeah, and then that's really the only other enemies on the map. It's like, okay, you can work around here to fight this Manakete if you're getting stuck by this sniper, instead of like, hey, I don't want to have to deal with opening the door and then sending a unit through and then risk losing my thief or whoever's opening the door against the sniper, you can work your way out here, kill the Manakete, kill these units, and then also you open up the boss chamber to attack the boss from more than one angle, with more than one unit at a time. But he's a boss bishop with Bolganon, so really his threat is the fact that he can deal a lot of damage in one shot, not the fact that he can survive a lot of attacks, which he generally can't. Honestly, in some ways, the more threatening unit is the mini-boss Himmler over here guarding the boots. Which also is another obnoxious thing. Hey, you beat the boss, now go past the boss for like 3 turns of movement, fight another mini-boss, get some boots, and then walk 3 turns of movement back. I understand what they're going for in this map. You want some time pressure, you want some little bit of relax and breathe, get some treasure, organize your forces, kill the boss, and then an optional, hey, if you want to go out of your way, there might be something here. And that definitely highlights this treasure chest as very special and very desirable. So I get that. What I don't get is why it had to be so dang far apart with basically nothing else going on. Reinforcements can't save this map. Higher enemy difficulty definitely does not save this map. It just ruins the one interesting feature of the map, which is the time pressure to rescue your units over here. Yeah, I initially came into this map with like, okay, some pretty positive feelings about it, but then as the more I look at it, the more I'm just like, what's the point? Yeah, let me... Because yeah, you draw up... Something that someone was commenting in my map flow video is the idea of zones of conflict. And so what are your zones of conflict here? Okay, you go here, you fight these two, and then you send a squad up to kill here. And you don't even open the door and rescue them. They're already your units. And it's like, okay, you could open the door, talk to them, and then you have to gear them and whatnot, and you could do it. And then it's like, okay, you either go through here and get all these treasure chests, or you go all the way around here, fight this dragon, and then come up here. Yeah, I think most people are just going to want to just go through the treasure chest. And then when you have the reinforcements spawn in, and they... I should do this in a different color. When the reinforcements spawn in and they come here against you, the zone of conflict is this doorway. It's this doorway and this doorway, and that's not particularly engaging or exciting map design. So yeah, how can we fix the map? I don't know. This one needs a decent look at it, and we will take a look at what they decided to do with this map in Book 2 of Mystery of the Emblem in the future when we get there. But I think that's all I really have to say about this map. I get what it's trying to do with this stuff over here, but it just doesn't execute well. It's really stretched out. It just takes a lot of walking from place to place with not a lot happening in between the walking, and it has a couple of strong enemies on it instead of having a decent number of enemies to actually fight, which is a strategy you can do, but I think if you're going to have fewer, stronger enemies, then have a smaller map. There's no need to stretch things out by multiple turns of movement between each enemy you fight. That just feels like you're wasting most of your deployment slots and doesn't feel particularly engaging. Which, I guess, it's an indoor map with a lot of treasure. If you want to deploy 2 thieves, you're more than welcome to, because the rest of your units aren't going to see combat anyway. But that's just my thoughts. What are your thoughts about this map? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you think it's fine? I think it's kind of on the low end of fine. I don't hate the map outright, but the more I look at it, the more I talk about it, the more I'm just like, not a fan. But you know who is a fan? My channel members. How's that for a segue? Thank you so much for all the channel members, particularly the new channel members who signed up. At the Royal Lagoosguard tier, we have the Forgotten L and Minirop. And at the Lagoosguard tier, we have C2 Peekali, Enigmatic Mr. L, Mad Moke, Bro Duderman, Kumi, Miss Mesmerism, Drumstep 913, Relaz 6, and Merlinin. Thank you all again so much for signing up. I know that the last video did very well. I'm glad you all enjoyed it. I'm going to keep trying to make more videos like that, but in the meantime still intersperse these Archanea map recap videos just because I like talking about it. Gives me something else to do, gets my brain working on the map design, map flow stuff, and who knows, maybe some more ideas will come out of it. But until next time, thank you for watching, and this is Mithril Zenith signing out.